Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. Andrew Fillipponi is up at 93.7 The Fan, where today the PM team was busy talking about a lot of topics. But tonight, Andrew, we didn't think we were going to talk about a Pirate win as they came from behind. We've been talking about how they have not had any clutch hitting whatsoever, and it looked like that may continue tonight. 6-2 down, a couple of ground outs. They didn't have much to show for it until the ninth inning, and then Ji-Hwan Bae got a big hit, and then after that, an error which opened the door, and then Cruz with a double. Gonzalez has been hot since his return, so two of those guys, Bae and Gonzalez, recently recalled, played a prominent role in an unlikely 7-6 win. It's a big one because they have Jones and Skeens the next 2 days, and instead of being 5 under 500, they're just 23 and 26. That's 3 under 500, so big difference.
Bob, you pretty much summed it up perfectly. I don't think there's anything left for me to say. You hit on every talking point that I had on my note app on my phone that I wanted to bring up here. I wanted to talk about Gonzalez and Bae, how we've been waiting forever for them to swap some guys out because the offense has been so stagnant, and those guys came through with critical plays late in the game. O'Neal Cruz delivered the biggest hit, of course, and he has come alive. Not so much in the Chicago series, but overall, he's been very good in the last, say, 20 games. And then the way things now set up in the rest of this series, you win this game. It's a found money game. It's a game you didn't expect to win. It's a cardiac win. And your two big horses go tomorrow, although tomorrow's pitching matchup is phenomenal with Jared Jones against last year's Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, who's scheduled to go for the Giants. So that's not a gimme game with Snell on the mound, a lefty. But then you've got the big horse Skeens on Thursday. Even if you lose tomorrow, he'll put you in position to win the series against a team that you came into this one trailing in the wild card race by 1 game.
Yeah, and I think David Bednar got a big 2 outs after there was a runner at third with 1 out in the top of the 10th. He struck out Wade, and then he got Patrick Bailey to fly out, and so that doesn't go unnoticed. And also tonight down in AAA, Henry Davis hit his 4th home run. So Grandal got injured tonight. I saw that when I was over there, and I thought, okay, I don't know what the extent is, but if Davis has maybe figured something out, he could be on a recall here fairly soon, I would think.
Yeah, and he's so important to them, big picture. We've seen Grandal. He did have a big double in this game, but overall, he's just not an offensive catcher. He's more, I hate to say this, but he's more in the mold of an Austin Hedges, where he's handling pitchers and being more of a pitch framer than he is a bat in their lineup in his mid-30s. Joey Bart has really cooled off since he first came over from the Pirates in that deal with the Giants. They need Henry Davis, Bob. I mean, the team that they beat tonight won a World Series 3 times with Buster Posey as the backbone of their team, the focal point. And the Pirates drafted Henry Davis #1 overall to be their version of that kind of guy, to be their fixture in their lineup as a guy that didn't just play good defensively behind the plate, but was a formidable hitter, maybe more hitter than defense as a matter of fact. So that's got to get straightened out. It's hard for me to picture the Pirates becoming a team that is a World Series contender. I know that sounds like a big phrase, World Series contender, but let's face it, with Skeens and Jones, people are dreaming up scenarios like that. It's hard for me to picture them getting there without Henry Davis rebounding and figuring it out.
No question about that. We'll find out more as we go along here. I just wanted to give an update on the Boston-Indiana game, only because that's caught my interest. I thought Indiana could give it a tough go, and right now it looks like they are heading into overtime against the Celtics. T.J. McConnell's had a nice night. Did you expect this from the Pacers in game #1?
Well, Boston blows a game at home in every series where they just don't take the other team seriously. They took their foot off the gas and they lose. It's usually game 2, though. They lost to Miami in game 2 in Boston. They lost to Cleveland game 2 in Boston. So this would be a little premature for them. The Pacers can score. They're probably the best scoring team in the entire NBA, but the defense is questionable most of the time. And so they got a lot of luck with injuries in the Bucks and Knicks series. So to answer your question, Bob, yes, I would be very surprised if the Pacers advance past the Celtics and make it to the NBA Finals.
They seem to be on a little bit of a roll. We'll see. When we come back, we're going to talk about some other Pirate news, including their Hall of Fame class. And Naji Harris showed up today at volunteer. It was OTA's day one. So we're going to talk about what happened there. Not only that, but Cam Heyward and more. We want your phone calls at 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right back after this. GMC Sierra tweeted tonight comes from the Pirates, who announced their 2024 Hall of Fame class. August 24th will be the date they enshrined these three. Jim Leyland, who's going into Cooperstown earlier. Barry Bonds should have joined him this year. At some point, he has to be in there. And Manny Sanguillen. Bonds, 2 of his 7 National League MVPs were here in Pittsburgh, where he got it all started. I think that's very nice class there. I was talking to Jim Trudinish tonight over there, Pony, and they knew Bonds was just a matter of time, really, and it should be a matter of time. It should be now that he goes into Cooperstown as well, I think, based on everything that he accomplished in the game.
Well, now that Ron Cook is retired from the Post-Gazette and the Fan, has he also surrendered his Hall of Fame vote? And I know for a long time, Ron, and I say this with respect, did not vote for Bonds because of all the rampant PED use that was not only Bonds doing it, but was also throughout the entire sport. Yeah, I mean, you can't have a Pirates Hall of Fame without Barry Bonds because of what he did, and he was not using performance enhancers when he was a part of their organization and leading them to the 3 straight NLCS and NL East championships. Leyland is one of the best managers in team history, and Sanguillen is a part of their 70s lore, being a championship cog on both of those teams, and the jump with Blasson himself after the 71 World Series Game 7 win. I don't know when he's going to get in, Bob. This is kind of a random one on my part, but I think about it. Vern Law, I believe, is in his 90s.
Yeah.
He was a part of that 60 team. We saw them do that with guys. I believe Elroy Face went in last year as a octogenarian, or maybe even in his 90s now. I'd like to see Vern Law get that call later in life, because if it's Pirates Hall of Fame and not Baseball Hall of Fame, so we're talking about their Pirates careers, he definitely deserves to be honored in some way. Was hugely important to that 1960 World Series team.
There's no question about that, and I would have loved to have seen that as part of this year's class as well. All right, let's move on real quick before we go to the lines, and that would be OTAs today. And Naji Harris was there. He came out late. He had an excuse, but he did not get his 5th-year option picked up, and that was a topical issue today. Naji Harris declined to talk to the media, but Mike Tomlin did, and I listened to that answer, and I wasn't sure what to make of it, because it seems, as he said, there are many layers to it. To me, the most obvious layer is they just were not going to give him $7 million next year when they have a guy like Jaylen Warren, who's also, emerged as a guy who splits time with him. So what do you expect from Naji Harris this year, and what did you make of Mike Tomlin's comment?
Well, Mike was presented a question that I thought allowed for him to say that they're still big Naji Harris fans despite not picking up the option. That was the way the question was worded, and Tomlin didn't want to take it in that direction, which I thought was a little bit strange. He also, in that very kind of convoluted answer, mentioned something about sometimes it comes down to a positional thing, which I read to mean we just don't want to pay a running back, is how I interpreted that. So how do I think it's going to play out with Naji Harris now? I think it all depends on how Arthur Smith feels about Naji Harris. Clearly, his status within the organization has taken a hit, taken a dent. He didn't get the option, and his playing time went down considerably last year. They liked Jaylen Warren in a lot of situations that in the past would have been Naji Harris getting the ball. So I think there's a chance this year there's an ultimate changing of the guard, and Warren gets more touches than Naji Harris. But either way, Tomlin's answer, Bob, was not like the most supportive thing I've heard for him in terms of a player going through a contract dispute with an organization.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I thought he would just come out and say, our belief in Naji Harris has not changed. It's just a business decision.
Yeah, me too.
Which it was. It was a business decision. I get it, but you're talking about 5th-year options. Running backs are the cheapest 5th-year option you can get of any position, yet they still chose not to do it, mostly because there are other guys around the league you could bring in. I get all that, but he should be inspired and he should have a good year. Let's go to the lines. We got Jerry in Franklin first up tonight. He's our #1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
Hi, Bob. Hi, Andrew. Love your show. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
A couple things, Bob. You spoke the other night about trading some blue chip prospects for what the Pirates need, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. We seem to be able to get middle infielders, and we seem to be able to get pitching now, but we can't get outfielders, and that would be a good time to make a deal. And also, too, one thing about the Steelers, and for Steeler fans, I think we could have a better team this year and still not have as good a record as last year. Thank you, guys.
I think that very much spot on, Jerry, with the record with the Steelers. I agree with that. You could have that division is a tough division. It depends on how it all plays out, and when you have 17 games like they do, with a clogged second half of it, Andrew, there could be some attrition in there. There are going to be some injuries. You don't know. Look what happened at the end of this past season. Look who the Steelers faced down the stretch. It didn't look like murder's row of quarterbacks because they had too many injuries. Jake Browning was one of them. Who else did they see? Gardner Minshew. Who else did they see? They didn't see who they thought they were going to see. You know what I mean? So you never know who you're going to see at this point. Joey and Burrow was out.
What you make of Fields' answer today, Bob, about the way he's looking at this situation with the Steelers?
He should. He should look at it as like, I'm going to go in there and try to win the job. What I find interesting, Andrew, is who plays what in the preseason. How much do they play? I mean, Russell Wilson is a 36-year-old veteran who's won a lot of games. How much does he need to play? It is a new system. It's a new team.
It is, and so you'd like to see him get some reps so he wasn't completely rusty in the new offense going into the first game against Atlanta. I don't think they're going to treat it like a competition. And I think Mike really likes Justin Fields and will want to get Justin Fields out there, but I think he's going to prepare Russell Wilson to start week 1. But I'm with Fields. His attitude is, I'm not looking at it like I'm going to be sitting on the bench all year. And when he said that, I don't think he was talking about returning kickoffs for the Steelers. No. I believe, and guess what, Bob? If I were a betting man, and you know I am from time to time on FanDuel, will Justin Fields start a game this year because of performance? So not an injury-related reason. Will he play because Mike Tomlin believes he gives the team a better chance to win a game? And my answer is unequivocally yes. I think that will happen at some point in the 2024 season. Do you agree?
I do, because it's a long season and because I've seen some good and some bad from Russell Wilson over the last couple of years, so we'll see what to expect here. But, if they don't get another wide receiver, I still think they need that. Somehow, some way, I'm not sure who fills that bill, but they're going to need more.
Well, how about the Ayuk news today? Still, I guess, a chasm between him and the 49ers on a contract extension. That was reported. Not even close. I don't think he wants to play there for $14 million this year, Bob. He ain't happy with that.
A lot of guys want redos. A lot of guys are sitting out of different things here. So it's a long way to go here. It's one day of this. We'll see. But, to your point, I think you will see Justin Fields at some point. And even if it doesn't happen, because of Russell Wilson's play, I hope they include him in some way, shape, or form in this offense because he's too talented not to. Let's go to Anthony in Greensburg.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Sorry. Anthony, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey, gentlemen. How you guys doing? I'm a big fan of your guys. I've been watching a lot of Pirate baseball, and you know what? They have 3 top-of-the-line pitchers right now, and they could fill in 4 and 5 with some pretty good ones with Bailey Falter. They have a decent bullpen. I think they could get better in the bullpen. But if this team really comes alive with hitting, I really believe they could be a World Series contender.
Listen, first things first, they got to get their hitting consistently going. They've shown signs where they get some, hitting in clumps and then it goes away for 3 days. I want to see more consistency there. But to your point, I think they could certainly be in a playoff situation, Andrew. I'm not going to go further than that. But in a short series, if these guys continue to do what they're doing, that's a huge check mark in your favor to have guys like Jones, Skeens, and even Mitch Keller as a third guy. If you get to see twice in a 7-game series, if they should get that far, that's a huge advantage for the Pirates.
It is. That also is dependent on Jones, keeping this incredible start to the year going because he did come from kind of off the radar and off the grid. But it doesn't look like it's a fluke. It looks like he's the real deal. He's so overpowering. And Keller needs to keep up what he did in May and not revert back to what he did in April. And in that scenario, you're right. They set up very good 1, 2, 3. Still extremely concerned about their offense. And I know they broke out in the 9th inning of this game tonight. But, Bob, other than Reynolds, who I think is a solid hitter, not a great one, O'Neal Cruz, who's starting to put it together, especially against right-handed pitching, and I would say Connor Joe. There really isn't anybody else in the lineup I feel good about right now. That's 3 out of 9. That's 1/3. That ain't going to cut it.
And quite frankly, they got, they were lucky tonight because there was an error on the shortstop in that 9th inning, and it could not have, but they took advantage of it. I'll give credit for that. Real quick, let's go to Rich in Altoona. Rich, can you make it quick, please, before we go to break?
Hello, Rich.
I'll try, Bob. Hello, Andrew. Bob, Mr. Rooney talked about winning playoff games and wanting to get back to that. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking about possibly getting rid of a number 1 pick in Naji Harris. Why not run both of these guys, pay them, and let them run both at these teams, and maybe have not so worn out legs at the end of the season?
Well, they're probably going to do that, right? I mean, this is just a business decision based on they don't want to pay a guy $7 million next year when they may find themselves putting more money into Jaylen Warren, Andrew.
Jaylen Warren, I think, reminds me a lot of Austin Eckler in L.A., I almost said San Diego, and what he can do as an all-around running back, and I'm going to cut myself short because I know we're crunched for time.
Thank you very much for respecting the clock, because I'd get in trouble if you didn't. Appreciate that, Andrew. We'll come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. KDKA News at 11 starts in about 5 minutes. Ken Rice has a preview.
Hey, Bob, tonight, Ray Petlin tracking another KDK First Alert weather day. Could be some strong storms moving in. Plus, how you can stay cool with these hot temperatures and why some parents and community leaders are frustrated about Pittsburgh Public Schools moving to remote learning because of the heat. All coming up at 11, Bob.
All right, thanks, Ken, very much. Pony, before we go, Cam Heyward pushed back today against the Jerry Dulac report yesterday that suggested Heyward did not let the Steelers know he was going to miss these OTAs. He came out hard against it, and bottom line is, again, I don't know where this is going. Mike Tomlin said he spoke to him twice today.
Well, great. That doesn't give me any kind of peace of mind that there's going to be a resolution to his contract standoff, though. Okay, so he doesn't need practice in May in shorts. I agree with that. But where do they find compromise and middle ground, Bob? That's still very much in the air. And I know you wore that green tie because you were rooting for a Celtics comeback, and you're getting it right now in overtime, Bob.
No,
what a job by you.
It's not. I did not.
What a way to go.
I'm a T.J. McConnell fan. I want to see Indiana.
Well, then why didn't you wear Indiana gold tonight? Where was the Navy tie? You could have worn it with that Navy jacket.
Where you get your clothes off the bed. She lays them out, I put them on. That's as simple as it gets. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight, Pony. Thanks as always. Appreciate it. We'll see you later on during the week and on this week's #1 Cochran Showdown on Sunday night. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again tomorrow night, 10:35. Hope you have a wonderful evening.